Trump is pushing his tariffs harder than ever. But this time, Canada didn't answer with speeches. They answered with metal. A massive $1.5 billion aluminum expansion in Quebec. Not a theory. Not a warning. A massive industrial build-out that lets Canada ship more aluminum to Europe and Asia. And the timing couldn't be more critical. Trump's aluminum tariff sits at 50%. This isn't a small upgrade. It's a full transformation of the Alouette facility, powered by Hydro-Quebec's cheap, stable electricity. Billions committed through 2030 and even more locked in all the way to 2045. Quebec already produces 70% of North America's aluminum. Nearly 1,000 workers, 630,000 tons of output, a mix of Rio Tinto and major European investors, and now an entirely new strategy, a strategy that could cut the US out of its own supply routes. Someone in Ottawa has been pressing the throttle harder than anyone expected, and stay with me, because this is exactly where we cut past the headlines and uncover what's really happening beneath the surface. Canada's industry minister, Mélanie Joly, isn't just visiting factories, she's rewriting the playbook. During her tour of Quebec's aluminum corridor, she didn't hold back. She called Donald Trump's tariffs unjustified and illegal, warning that the real battlegrounds are aluminum, steel, and autos. But she isn't relying on words. She's cutting bureaucracy from 50 pages to 12, opening new finance pipelines, and giving smaller manufacturers the cash flow they need to survive tariff pressure. Her strategy hits 3 levels: short-term, defend against dumping and market distortions; mid-term, push new investment and speed up funding; long-term, tie Canadian aluminum into military, aerospace, and national infrastructure, places where stability matters more than politics. And she's sending a message to Canada's business community: Trump can change trade rules overnight. A single 6 a.m. policy shift can scramble entire industries. So her answer is simple: unlink Canada's future from American volatility. While Washington makes its moves, Canada is quietly building a new path, one that doesn't depend on the US anymore. But this story is only beginning, because the biggest proof of this shift is hidden in Canada's export numbers. And that's where the real twist hits. As the US tightened tariffs, Canada didn't panic. Canada suddenly changed course. The May 2025 trade numbers tell the story clearly. Exports to countries outside the US jumped 5.7%. Shipments to the US dropped to their lowest point since the pandemic. The trade deficit shrank from 7.6 billion CAD to 5.9 billion CAD. Canada isn't drifting. It's steering into new markets on purpose. Aluminum is just one piece. Gold is moving to the UK. Crude oil is heading to Singapore. Pork is finding new demand in Japan. Even niche companies, pharmaceuticals, machine parts, specialized industries, are shifting sales to Europe and Asia. Economists are calling this the reverse direction, and free trade agreements like CETA and CPTPP are giving Canada wide-open lanes that don't depend on Washington at all. For decades, Canada rode close behind the US economy. Now it's driving its own route, a cleaner, more diversified lane that avoids tariff storms altogether. But this changed course isn't just about avoiding Trump's policies. It's about something bigger. A race to dominate the next generation of manufacturing: batteries, clean tech, aerospace, and while some sectors are accelerating, others are stalling. And the contrast is sharp. Canada's traditional manufacturing engine is losing power. June's PMI dropped to 45.6, the weakest since the COVID slump. 5 straight months of contraction. Production cuts hitting a 5-year high. Tariffs pushing companies to the edge. Some suppliers are renegotiating contracts with US buyers just to survive. Others are abandoning the American market entirely and targeting Europe or Asia instead. But here's the twist. While old manufacturing struggles, new manufacturing is exploding. Clean tech projects are accelerating. EV battery components in Ontario and Manitoba, hydrogen hubs in development, aerospace composites gaining global orders. Last year alone, the aerospace sector exported nearly 19 billion CAD, and it's still climbing. And leaders like Mélanie Joly and Quebec Premier François Legault are betting everything on this transition. If Canada can streamline approvals and keep investment flowing, this aluminum shock could trigger something far bigger. A full industrial reboot. But a reboot needs something essential. A way to move all that new high-value material across the world. And Canada is preparing for that too. Quietly, but with serious force. While everyone focuses on the giant smelters, the real shift is happening somewhere quieter. Canada's ports. Saguenay, Quebec, once a calm regional harbor, is turning into a launch pad for global exports. Upgrades now allow aluminum to ship directly to Europe, cutting costs, cutting time, and, most importantly, cutting exposure to US customs and tariffs. Exports to Italy and Germany are already climbing. The logistics are smoother, faster, and greener. The port is preparing for low-carbon, ESG-friendly cargo, a requirement for European buyers who are tightening import standards. This isn't a small improvement. It's a new strategy. By strengthening these ports, Canada gives its manufacturers something priceless. A way out when US policy becomes unpredictable. And the transformation doesn't stop with aluminum. Hydrogen, rare earth minerals, agri-food, advanced composites. All of them are gaining new routes that bypass political volatility and keep trade flowing even when tariffs escalate. Intermodal rail, cold storage, and modern freight systems are already under construction. What looks like simple infrastructure is actually Canada's insurance policy, a backup plan in an era where trade can turn into a weapon overnight. But ports are only one part of the puzzle. To understand what Canada's aluminum overhaul really means, you have to zoom out and look at the entire shift playing out across North America. Canada didn't respond to Donald Trump's tariffs with anger. It responded with strategy. Billions are being poured into new smelting facilities. Overseas exports are climbing fast. Manufacturing is shifting toward clean tech. Ports built to dodge tariff chaos. Policies designed to make the economy less vulnerable to a single US decision. Instead of bending under pressure, Canada is restructuring its entire trade model. From energy to metals to advanced manufacturing. The United States fired the first shot. But Canada may be the one walking away stronger, more diversified, less dependent, and more aligned with the industries that will dominate the next decade. The real question now is simple and unsettling. Can Canada keep this momentum if the next global shock hits? Or will the gravitational pull of the US economy drag everything back into familiar patterns? If you're following this story so far, make sure you subscribe. There's much more coming. And let me know your thoughts in the comments.